The Israeli jazz scene is known and recognized around the world and is considered one of the major export factors of the Israeli culture. I'm Yotam Ziv, and together with the Culture Diplomacy Bureau of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Jerusalem Post, we're happy to offer you a deeper acquaintance with the musicians themselves. And today, we're very delighted and happy to introduce you to Inbar Fridman, jazz guitar and composer. How are you, Inbar?
I'm not bad.
Not bad is a little bit
Better than
more than we expected, a little bit less.
Yes.
Let's say that among a lot of other things, and we'll talk about it later, you are now working on a new project. Exciting from your point of view because it's something that you have never done before. Is
Well,
it?
I haven't done it before in this manner, but I'll just introduce the project firstly.
Okay.
So it's a collaboration that I'm doing with a friend of mine, with an old friend of mine. His name is Shlomi Mansu, and he's playing. He's a bass player. We used to go to school together in Patterson, in New Jersey. That's pretty much where I met him, and we were very close back then, and used to practice like every day together. So we were really tight, and then we fell out of touch for like 20 years and bumped into each other like on the street, and since then like we've been playing together, and we decided to record like our collaboration, and chose a few of our favorite standards. Just went to his studio, and
before this, you were playing standards in gigs and shows, but you didn't record standards. Am I correct? Or
right? Like I didn't record that many records to begin with, but when I did, it was mostly, not mostly, actually, entirely original compositions.
Yeah, your first album was in 2013. You did it in Europe. Great album. Can you say something about that?
Sure.
Great album, really. I mean, I really like it.
Thanks. So the album, I did it. I recorded it with with a French band that formed around this, with people that I knew from before and people that I met like on the scene. We recorded it in the studio of the piano player. Her name is Camelia Benassir. It was not far from the Pyrenees, and it was a really great experience. Compositions by me and her, and the album came out on Origin Records, like the American label.
Let's go back to the time that you were started to play as a child. Was it guitar at the beginning? And when did the jazz came to your knowledge and to your music?
I started classical piano when I was probably 6, and I played it for 7 years. And I liked it, but I wasn't really into it. I mean, I liked playing. I didn't like practicing so much. And in high school,
you liked practicing, or you didn't?
No, I didn't. I liked playing piano, but the practicing was a bit shady. But I was pretty good.
Are you saying that to play the guitar you need less practice than piano?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm saying that the connection was completely different. In terms of the output of the instrument, and in terms of the music that I was playing. I mean, classical music versus popular music, and then jazz.
How did you meet jazz music, jazz musician?
I was introduced to it by my teacher. I had a private teacher, like when I came into high school. And he had a classical and jazz background. He used to go to Rimon when he was younger, which is the same school that I'm teaching in today for the past 10 years in the jazz department. So he introduced me to Pat Metheny, and I was pretty much blown away by it.
Like, was it like this? We've been talking to a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was something that they grew up to it. And sometimes there was one track, one musician that did all the different.
For sure. For me, it was like I was playing guitar, and I was playing, probably for like a few months. So I wasn't really there yet. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I heard him, I just
Mm.
couldn't conceive of a way to be able to play that. I mean, the gap, the
Mm.
delta between the two of us was like, inconceivable. So that's pretty much the moment that I decided to
Mm.
start
It's
walking the
interesting
walk.
because, I mean, some of the jazz musicians that I spoke to don't say, I mean, they say that Pat Metheny is not like traditional jazz.
That's true. That's true. But I think due to that, he kind of managed to make connection. Um, like he was like the pivot point for
Mm.
many musicians that I think that if I were, to be exposed to someone more traditional than him, I'm not sure that the impact would have been as, you know,
Yeah. And I mean, after you heard Pat Metheny and you thought about jazz, did you leave completely other music genres, or you just kept on doing a few things at the same time?
I pretty much, this is what I was concentrated in. Like I realized that this is, I mean, we were talking about jazz theory and like knowing the neck, I mean, between me and my teacher then. But then it was much more coherent for me where the route was leading to.
And do you describe yourself then and now as, I mean, you said that you're a jazz guitarist.
Hmm.
Are you? I mean, this is the only thing that you do?
In terms of playing, pretty much yes. Unfortunately, I have to say, I think, I mean, I'm paying kind of a price for not being as versatile as other players, but
Mm-hmm.
since my concentration throughout the years was, towards that, I
Mm-hmm.
just think that with time, it just takes its own path, and I mean, I guess we're gonna talk about this later, but it just like immerses into other things too. Like it becomes music as a whole, and rather than
Yeah.
just looking at it as jazz per se.
And jazz is something that undescribable. I mean, it has so many varieties. In high school, did you think that, did you know that you're going to keep on learning and go to the jazz capital of the world? I mean, New York.
I did. I mean, I didn't know about New York, but at that point where when I was exposed to that music and I was really excited about it, I like pretty much at 14, maybe 15, I knew that this is what I was gonna pursue.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what my chances were in pursuing that in terms of will I be able to do it, but
And you went to New Jersey, right?
I went to
The
Rimon at first to study
uh-huh.
there. I was there for like a couple of years, and then I moved to New York and I started. I mean, I actually moved to Jersey to live with the
Mm-hmm.
family that I had there, and I found and William Patterson actually accepted me, and it was like a
Try
fluke.
to describe us shortly
Yeah,
the first day. I mean, the
in New
first day
York.
in New York in the school. I mean, how was it? Thank you for smiling. It means it's something
No,
that
because
you.
it's just overwhelming. I came to New York with like someone like pretty much explained to me how to take the train and get to the upstate New York where I was supposed to be staying.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like a really huge bag like on the front of me and like suitcase and the guitar in my back, and I was like my back was killing me, and I was taking the trains like from the airport, the A train, and then switching trains and then taking another bus, and I was completely overwhelmed coming to New York. Completely. And I had like no plans. I was like my plan was to stay there for like 30 days. I had the tickets to go back, and I just gave it up and stayed.
Um, let's say you said that you were practicing mostly jazz, but
Yeah.
2 years ago or a year ago, you
Mm.
were playing in the first Israeli Women Jazz Festival, Quinta,
Right.
and you started to do something else. You started to write your own music to your own words.
Yeah,
It's not
I was
jazzy
encouraged
of
to do
you.
that. It's not jazzy. Well, that's what I said, that, eventually it just kind of immerses, within everything else that you do. So
So,
I started like writing poetry kind of. I'm a little bit timid about saying that because I don't perceive myself as a writer, but I did do that. I mean, there are texts that exist due to my writing. I
and
can say that.
how did you feel? I mean, first time you're doing it, and
Yeah.
the first time that you were doing it on stage.
I'm not sure. I think I was in a way eventually more relaxed about it somehow because like the emphasis, I mean the music was obviously super important and I was concentrating while being on stage. I was concentrating on that, but the process towards that that performance was very different in the sense that I was obligated to the words, and I was working with a singer, Vera Dekel, um, who was singing the words that that I wrote
Let's
and
just say
composed.
Vera Dekel is one of
I
the
did.
first
Mm.
jazz vocalists who studied abroad. She made
Right.
great jazz albums, and to talk about your project, your album, uh, just say, I mean, how did you choose the standards, the arrangement,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, uh, what will the people who listen to that should expect?
I mean, my goal in this was to be as free as possible. This is something I'm kind of striving to do, and I'm not sure that I've been completely able to do that in formal recordings.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of just like not being conscious of
Ah.
being recorded, and that was actually the experience in this encounter because we're so comfortable with each other, me and Shlomi,
Mm-hmm.
and we just decided to take like the songs that we like the best, that we consider beautiful, that are the most expressive, like in our opinions, and just press record and see what happens. And the initial concept was just to take everything very slowly, very soothingly, and create something that's very lyrical and almost romantic
And also
with
with 10 strings. Um,
10 strings. Yes, sure.
10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Uh, last question
yeah.
about free, as you said. Um, how many tracks in the album?
Yeah, there are gonna be 7 tracks.
You didn't record it already? You didn't
We
finish
did. No, no, no,
recording?
no, no. We did. I'm just saying that we're gonna release. Everything is done.
Mm. So I'm
Um,
asking
yeah.
is from these 7,
Hmm.
uh, how much of them was the first take inside the album?
I think most of them, and if not the first, the second. I mean, we didn't do many takes. The ones that we did many takes to, we just didn't use.
Yeah, great. The
Yeah.
refreshment. Inbar Fridman,
Yes.
star jazz and composer, thank you very much for being with us and good luck with the album.
Thank you so much, Yotam. I really appreciate it.
Bye bye.